What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about full-time RVing in Florida, so stay tuned. So the reason we wanted to kind of touch on full-time RVing in Florida is because on Facebook, on a lot of the full-time RV Facebook pages, we're seeing a tremendous amount of people that want to come to Florida over the summertime. So we just thought we would share some of our thoughts. We full-timed in Florida back in 2019. After we sold our house, we actually full-timed locally for a year while we were kind of getting things in order to be able to travel. So the differences that we've seen from 2019 now to 2023, we're back in Florida. We've been here for a little while. We're going to be here for a little bit longer. So we've kind of seen how it was in 2019, kind of pre-pandemic, and now we've seen how things are in 2023, and we just thought we would share some of the differences and also maybe give some people out there some pointers. If you are wanting to come to Florida, it's not as wide open as it used to be by any means. So back in 2019, when we spent that year full-time in here locally in Florida, we kind of split our time primarily between two places, and that was Jonathan Dickinson State Park down in Hobe Sound and the Corps of Engineers Park in Stuart, Florida.
Yeah, and back then we didn't really have much trouble at all booking on shorter notice. The only 2 months that were a little bit troublesome were January and February, which is peak snowbird season. But now, in 2023, those same two parks, what we're seeing is in the summertime, we're having trouble even getting 2 weeks together on a little bit of a longer notice, let alone short notice, especially weekends being filled. So a little bit later in this video, we're going to talk to you about what we had to do at Jonathan Dickinson in order to stay there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't even sell our house until the end of April in 2019, and it sold a lot faster than we were planning on. So we were able to just load up in our travel trailer, and we went straight to Jonathan Dickinson for 2 weeks with no issues. There was plenty of availability, and now, man, it's very, very hard to, without having to piece together between a whole bunch of different sites. And what we're also seeing is it seems like there might be a lot of people doing that, maybe full-time living locally, because we're seeing a lot of the same RVs kind of doing the same thing we were doing, which is just kind of shuffling around every few days. You still see them in the park, they're just in a different site. And you know, it's getting close to summertime. It's very, very hot, and what we're finding is availability is just really, really hard to get right now, even with it being, you know, crazy hot and coming up on summertime.
Well, yeah, and that's not even counting the fact that we're not in snowbird season anymore, and that's before families start taking vacations after the kids got out of school. So it's just going to be tougher even more in the summer, I believe. And the biggest other thing that we're noticing is the price. Compared to 2019, if you wanted to spend 2 weeks at a state park, you were going to pay $364. But since then, they've implemented a utility fee of $7 extra a night. So now those same 2 weeks at a state park is going to cost you about $100 more.
Yeah, so it's really, back then it was a really great bargain. And I guess compared to what they're getting for RV parks in the area now, it's probably still a bargain, I guess. But it's definitely still pretty expensive with that additional $7 a day fee that they've added on. So I think the biggest pointers that we could give someone that's wanting to come to Florida, and this goes not only for snowbird season, but even during the summertime now, with as busy as it is here, is to book as far in advance as you can. I know that's not possible sometimes. That was kind of our situation. We weren't really sure exactly when we were going to be back or how long we were really planning on staying. So what's worked out well for us is Erica gets on there and looks for cancellations. There are quite a few times when cancellations will come up, so you can snag a few days here and there, but be prepared to move around to move around to different sites. Jonathan Dickinson has a tremendous amount of sites there at that campground. Some of them have full hookup. Up at the Pine Grove Campground, there's actually 89 full hookup sites over 2 different loops. So, and the sites are huge. You'll have no trouble getting even the biggest RV into any of those sites up there. There's a few that might be a little bit smaller. So if you have a really big rig, you might not get in. But overall, the sites are really big, really spacious. They have not updated the reservation website with current pictures. So if you look at that website and you look at the pictures of the sites, it looks like there's no foliage or anything growing in between the sites. Those pictures are incredibly outdated, like back when they put that campground, when they first built the campground. That's how it looked. Now there's plenty of foliage in between the sites. There's a lot of trees and bushes, and there's a lot of greenery around, kind of blocking the sites off from each other, so they're actually pretty private, other than just a few of them. There's also a dump station at that campground, which is probably one of the oddities, I guess, of the Jonathan Dickinson State Park, is that the dump station is actually up by the full hookup campground. So not very many people need it up there. 5 miles down toward the back of the park, that is the river campground. There's 52 sites back there. A lot of those sites are much smaller. So you really have to have a smaller RV, a smaller fifth wheel. Ours is 34 feet, and there's only a few sites we can fit in. They do have some really nice pull-through sites, which is what we got while we stayed down there. But there's no dump station down there. So dumping...
And they're water electric only sites.
Right, water electric only. So to dump your tank into like a portable dump tank and take it to the dump station, not really feasible from down there. I mean, it's almost 5 miles up to where the dump station is. So that's not really really doable. You really have to unhook and go all the way up to the dump station if you're going to dump. So when we stay down there, we try to only stay for a few days, because we definitely don't want to get into a situation where we have to dump our tanks and break everything down, go up to the dump station, come back, set everything up. So we try to limit it to just a few days down there. But it is a really nice area of the park. It's very quiet down there, and it's a nice spot.
And the way it actually worked out when we were there, we stayed in Site 31, and then we had to move down to the river campground for the weekend because there were no spots available at the full hookup campground. So we were just there for the weekend, and we were in Site 109 for the weekend, which is one of those pull-through sites. And then when we moved back to Site number 2, which is Dylan's favorite site because it's right across from the playground.
So also down by that river campground is where they do the bike rentals, the boat rentals, kayaks and canoes. So there's a lot going on down there. They have a tremendous amount of mountain bike trails. Mountain biking is very popular at Jonathan Dickinson State Park. We actually have an older video that we did that's a little more of a comprehensive review of the 2 different loops at Jonathan Dickinson State Park. Kind of takes you on a drive through both of those loops also, so I'll link to that video. But it's a really good park if you need to be in South Florida. But just really right now, anywhere in Florida, even during the summertime, if you're trying to stay for any length of time, be prepared to move around and move sites, even if you're moving inside the same park. It's probably going to happen, and it's just the way things are now. If you're going to try to come to Florida, I mean, sometimes you see jokes on Facebook on some of the groups, and people say, "Hey, Florida's full. Go somewhere else." Well, they're not lying. Florida is getting very full. It's getting very hard to RV, to make any kind of advanced plans. If you don't have a certain area you have to be in, you could probably pick up some cancellations or pick up a few spots here and there for a couple of days at different state parks throughout the state. There's a lot of state parks in Florida, so there is a chance, if you don't mind moving, you may have to move 50, 75, 100 miles to the next state park. But if you don't mind moving all around Florida, then you might be all right. But if you're trying to stay in one area, be prepared to have a challenge at finding a spot right now. All right, so I guess that's going to do it for now. Just wanted to give you guys kind of our thoughts, because we have seen such a dramatic difference between 2019 and now 2023. It's really night and day difference as far as full-time and in Florida. So if you're thinking about coming here, hopefully this video is helpful, or at least gives you a heads up about what you can expect. We appreciate you guys watching, We'll catch you guys down the road.